You're listening to the Shoot Your Shot podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jen, and we're two boss babes sharing our journey and inspiring you along the way.
Today, we are very, very excited to introduce an amazing couple, photographer, videographer team, Wisconsin, right? They're based in Wisconsin. Britt and Alex Hall from Chasing Sunsets.
I just have to share, this has probably been one of the most juicy conversations we've had in a really long time. Yeah. I think this may also be our longest episode to date.
I think it is. We record on Zoom with them, and I think that's like a 45-minute, 30-minute.
Yeah, 40, I think. Yeah.
I'm on whatever the free version of Zoom is, and we ran up the clock twice.
Yep.
So
we had to log off 3 times and log back in. And each time we logged back in, they were just like smiling and having fun together. And we just can't wait for you to listen to this episode. Yeah. They shared so many tips and tricks. They shared so much passion about their business. And if anything, this episode is just going to remind you how lucky we are to be entrepreneurs and how just to remember to bring the positive light into every room that you go in and every situation you're in, even when it gets hard. Just always look at the positive side of things.
I'm so excited to introduce Alex and Britt. Here we go.
We're so excited to have you. Thanks again for joining us today.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. So I guess we'll just get started. Tell the world, who are you guys? Who's Chasing Sunsets? How'd you guys get started?
Really good cue when I go and then when you go. Like, what would you like? What would you like?
We are lucky enough to be Chasing Sunsets, and I'm Alex. This is Brittany.
Yeah. So we started taking pictures and we started like doing really fun photo shoots together in our little tiny town in Hartford, Wisconsin. And by building that and just like doing it together as a fun hobby, it became something that people wanted us to do for them. So now we are lucky enough to document love stories full time, mostly weddings because it's really fun.
Yep.
We do like a photo video bundle, which is really fun. But we also offer just small sessions if they fulfill us and are creatively aligned with what we're hoping to create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, today's going to be just a conversation. Like, this podcast is basically just kind of sitting and chatting, and, you know, it's all about the entrepreneur world and just sharing like our stories and experiences with each other and with our listeners and hopefully inspiring other people. So we're so excited to hear kind of everything about it. But so how did you guys like really get started? Like, did you kind of explain that journey for us?
Like, how did you get into weddings from just like experimenting and having fun together? Like, how did it become a business?
I think it starts first with like building a community of people who are really excited about you. We were just talking about it last night about how at the beginning of anything, you really want to try to find creative ways to put your name in other people's mouths. So just generating buzz in general, like you just want people to know what you're doing and how you're doing it. So social media and just reaching out to our current community. At the time, we were serving at a restaurant. So we had a bunch of friends that we were making as servers, and we had so many people who wanted to support our entrepreneurial adventure that it became like, oh, okay, we have this super exciting thing going on in our lives. Do you want to document our engagement photos? And then in terms of like how that transitions to wedding, we just got lucky that people loved the photos we were creating for them in their engagement sessions, that it almost felt synonymous to have us on the wedding day. Because I know a huge problem or just a challenge to overcome when you're first getting started is you need someone to take a chance on you. So we just got really lucky that people were willing to take a chance on us.
Absolutely. It's such a blessing to be able to do this as a career. And honestly, without those people at the beginning, I don't think we would be here. So thanks, guys.
Wow.
Well, and it's actually a videographer too. So what would you say was like the journey to starting video? Because photo was certainly first.
Yeah. But we definitely kind of noticed the trend of this is such a big thing coming up where people are going to want to not only see the photos and remember the memories that they put together from those images, but they also want to relive, you know, some of the audio of their day. They want to remember what it actually looked like to experience these big pivotal moments on their day. And we just kind of understood that looking 5-10 years in the future, this is going to be like a synonymous, you do both. Like people are going to want both. So we decided that it was going to be a good idea to jump into that, even though it was so scary. And, you know, we didn't really have any experience with video, but we just like with photos and content itself in our in our history, we just leaned in and kind of like full steam ahead, push forward to figure it all out together.
Yeah, if someone could come up with like a curiosity for us, we were definitely willing to like try it out. Was video the same thing for you, Megan? Did it start after photo?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess I took classes when I was in high school when I was a lot younger and kind of learned them both at the same time and fell in love with them both at the same time. But for my business, it was photography first. I don't know. It just seems like simpler. You get to understand the camera a lot better. And then it was kind of a stepping stone off of that. But I love that you guys added in video too, because it adds so many different elements to the day that photography just can't do. Like all of the sounds, the birds chirping in the background, like grandpa's voice, like those are things that when people pass, like it's so important and photography just can't do it. So I love that you guys acknowledge that and wanted to do it, because for a lot of people in our industry, I feel like there's kind of like a line, like a left and a right, where it's like some people treat it as a business and it's money and like that's the end of it. And then there's other people that do it because it's a passion and they love to do it. And then I think there's like, you know, a little bit in the middle where it's like to a point it's business, but to a point it's love. So I don't know. I just love that you guys like really express that and you really make it super, super clear. Like you guys are one of the first people that I started to follow when I started my business, because I was just like so like attracted to that and to how raw and real it was, and like that was your why, and you make your why so publicly known, and a lot of people don't do that. So anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true, because you find your inspiration like so early on, and that was why I started my business, was because I was looking at different people on Instagram, like my lunch break at work, and I was like, why can't I do that? I can do that. So that was people like you guys. So a lot of love.
And isn't it crazy that you just get to hold such an important impact in people's lives? Like you're not just documenting a day or a love story, you're documenting legacy.
Yeah.
You mentioned grandpa, you mentioned like these once in a lifetime memories where everyone is still gathered and connected. So it's just such a cool role to play in the lives of our clients, for sure. It's a very fulfilling role. But then, so Jen, you also have the vintage beverage cart. Is that how the two of you met, at a wedding?
At a content day, actually. It was the first one for both of us. And the funniest story, I thought my husband was going to have to like back up this horse trailer, drive it places. And the content day was on a Tuesday. So I was like, well, he has a full-time job and can't come with me. So it was in like the deep back roads of Connecticut, like up hills, windy roads.
Pouring rain that day.
Pouring rain, yeah.
Of course.
I'm driving like an F-150 as like a girl and pulling this like 4,000 pound horse trailer. And so I got to the shoot, everything was great. And then we were leaving and
it was like getting dark too. It was like this weird blue hour in the rain, like hard to see.
And we were on, the venue was called the Hilltop or Top of the Hill or something about a hill.
Yeah.
And it was literally like in the clouds. Like you couldn't see, the fog was crazy. So I'm trying to back the truck up onto the hitch of the trailer. And I literally can't do it. Like I'm going back and forth. And now I'm like ruining the grass at this venue. I'm like, oh my God. So I get out of the truck. In the rain, yeah. So I get out of the truck and I'm like, can anyone help me? And Megan's like, I can. Because Megan, you used to tell me.
Yeah, I used to work on a farm like through high school. So it was a llama farm. And so we would take them to competitions and stuff and load them up in a little 2-horse trailer.
Crazy stories.
So, and I would drive it. And so I like had some experience with like backing up. And your trailer was like the exact same size and like same exact thing. So I was like, oh, I got this. Let's go. And like we're in a trailer right now. So
we're in Megan's camper now too. We love trailers apparently.
Yeah. Tell us about like the van life thing and all of that. I'm so interested in hearing about how you guys did business there and everything. Give us the little backstory.
Van life was so important for our journey as a collective whole. We were just talking about this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So it's full circle now, ladies. We are lucky enough to be sitting in Sedona, Arizona, which is where we started van life. Really, we live in Wisconsin, and then we wanted to go to Arizona for the beautiful winters, and just the magic of Sedona pulled us so strongly. So we've spent most of our time here when we were in our van, and now we get to be back, and we've been fortunate enough to rent out an Airbnb, which is a much comfier way to see Sedona.
Oh my God.
So this has just been a real full circle moment. But we would start first we started car camping. I don't know if you guys have ever tried that for just like an adventure. It's different. It's certainly not living.
Yeah, it's mostly like a sleep space and a travel space. Like we couldn't really work in our Honda Element. It wasn't really big enough for anything other than carrying around like our propane grill and
Yes,
a little
and
bit
all
of
your
food.
gear.
It's probably
Yeah, exactly.
duffel bags, just bags on bags. And that was a really important chapter because we knew after just even a couple of summers just trying that full time that we really loved it. And we eventually wanted the comfort of standing in our van. So in, I would say like November of 2019.
It's just the simple things, right?
Standing in your
The
living space is
bar
probably a
was
priority. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the van came into our world in November of 2019, which was obviously a really unique time in the world. And it was obviously an important time in our business too. Our first wedding season was in 2020.
Yeah.
So we were just growing and trying our hardest to get somewhere with this dream of living nomadically. And then the van made that possible. We were able to come down to Arizona and keep growing and meeting friends. And I just really loved the like, I don't know, the free flow state that the van provided. You can just pick up and go.
Yeah.
That's so
And
cool.
then because of we ended up meeting Megan Ty.
Yeah, so and you're right, it is a full circle. When we were in the van, we met van life friends, and so our van life friends, Megan and Ty, they ended up being our first wedding ever, our first elopement, right on like the Salt River in Arizona in April of 2020.
Yeah.
So it was such an important time for us to like get all of the willies out because you know your first wedding's going to be a nerve-wracking experience no matter how big or small it is, but the universe and our guardian angels took care of us so good, and they were like, here's just 4 people on the Salt River, just like have fun, do a good job, and create, you know, timeless memories. But that allowed us to then go into 2020 and really take off as a wedding photographer at that time and just do a much better job than I think if we would have like come out the gate swinging with like that big 350 person wedding.
Yeah.
That would have been really
It
intimidating.
was really good for both of us. Brittany had already second shot some weddings before, but that was my first actual wedding experience, and it was a really good confidence booster because 2020 it was a very interesting year. Some people decided to cancel their wedding with us, and some people decided to postpone it. Some people still went through with it and just made a smaller guest list. Sorry, guys. So it was a really cool opportunity for us to kind of ease our way into the industry rather than if it had even just been a year earlier, maybe it would have been almost 25 or 30 weddings, and we would have been overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And able to do a good job or something like that.
Yeah. Have you guys ever considered living in a van, or obviously a trailer is a good option? It seems pretty comfy.
I joke with my husband. I'm like, if you can't find me, I'm in the bar in the driveway.
That's
so
hilarious.
I actually grew up. My family owned a campground in New Hampshire, and it was just like the most magical. My husband and I got married there too. And we loved every second of it. We sold it since then. We have a little cabin in New Hampshire still, but I have 2 toddlers. So I think that has passed, but I see all these like amazing families that are homeschooling their kids and enjoying life. And I'm so jealous of it because I don't know if I could ever do that personally. But my husband and I travel all the time. Like he's originally from Massachusetts. So we do like the road trips there, and it's just like we love driving places.
Yeah.
Megan and I, when we first started, we always we told each other that once a month, one weekend we would take off, which I don't think Megan's living to that.
Try.
We would take off and travel, and that would be like our weekend either with our significant other or our families. And I still try to do that, as busy season is. I think it's so important.
Even if it's at home,
I agree.
Yeah. So, but I love traveling trips. I love them. I want a camper. It's definitely going to happen in the future. Because I absolutely love just like one of the campsites at my campground that we would be at had like this little river that went through the back of it. So you literally open your door. There was like a deck on the back, and you just like open your door to a river every morning. And I'm like,
so
oh
beautiful.
my God. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I would love
amazing.
that. I would love that. And then especially like if your house was really like on the road like that, to open your door and get that beautiful view in a different spot. like every other day. I've always wanted to try that, and I didn't go to college, and that was kind of like one of the things I had in the back of my pocket where I was like, maybe I should just do that while everybody's off at school. And it never really happened, but lots of camping trips. My boyfriend has a little pickup, and he has a pop-up trailer that comes off the top. So cool. We do stuff like that, and he has a little utility trailer because he's a bike guy too, so he has a couple motorcycles and whatever. Good. So but he had this little trailer that he would use to buy them, and then he was like, I'm not using this trailer anymore, and he's a welder, and so he's in the process of adding walls and a roof and everything to it and turning it into a little just like bed on the like a little mattress on the ground and just using that instead of a little tent. So
he has such a set of skills. Like, that's incredible.
So in a way, maybe one day, but it's very cool.
I think you brought up a really good point about van life, though. It's a lot more aligned if you have some kind of a really strong passion for mountain biking or outdoor hiking or outdoor kayaking. I found that, and in just our full evolution of living in the van, it was just about 5 years. And then, of course, we had car camping before, but after a certain period of time, when Chasing Sunsets really became what we wanted it to, and it started growing so rapidly, we were finding that the limitations of space, the lack of security, the overall feeling of just being so vulnerable all the time that living in a vehicle brings, it was more of a hindrance than it was a help to like the overall goal, which was to like see this become this big, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But you're so on the point, guys, about being able to open the door to a beautiful, beautiful location. You know, we have so many memories of that exact experience, and we'll cherish them for forever.
Yeah.
You know, like,
but there's also the experiences of like rolling up to like real weird travel centers at midnight because we really need to take a shower, and like it comes with the that dynamic of the good and the bad, and it's such a fortunate lifestyle that we were able to live for quite some time. Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I just started remembering when you were talking about the the river, Jen. When we got locked out of the Honda Element in Colorado.
Oh, we were right next to like a river, and our dog locked us out, and he was just like, ha, ha, ha. Like, good luck.
No.
3 hours.
We're like halfway up the mountain. The river is like just beautifully making this sweet noise. It was the perfect sleep spot. We woke up and our friends found us on the side of the mountain, and we got out to like hug them because we were looking for them last night, couldn't find them. And Nick hit like his paw on the little lock and didn't have anything with us to get back in. It was like the very first trip we took with a Honda Element. So that was like, oh, okay. Welcome to adversity.
Welcome.
Good morning.
So now what did you do? How'd you get in? I need to know.
Okay, good question. So
tell my version just real quick.
Absolutely, but I'm going to tell you what, because it's a Honda Element and it has a moonroof in the back.
It does.
So we had like that popped. There's little side windows that give you a little bit of really cool cross breeze.
But ladies, it's a moonroof, so it just is like maybe an inch.
Yeah.
You can like stick a hand and be like, Nick, I'm here for you. Like, I love you.
Yeah.
It was morning. It was still pretty chilly because we were in the forest.
Yeah.
But the sun was quickly rising. And as the sun was coming up, and we're barefoot and crazy, I really had to go to the bathroom because we had jumped out and literally like hugged our friends.
Yeah.
And then Nick locked it. And promptly. And it was 3 days in the car camping lifestyle. So Alex and I all at once were like, is this for us?
Oh, man.
But I ended up having to go to town with the girlfriend of our friends. Her name is Victoria. And the whole way there, it's like maybe an hour and a half because you're so deep into the Colorado wilderness.
Far off the road.
Our plan to like save the day was to get like some kind of a Black & Decker tool to like open up the screws on the back window, and then we'll have salvation. It'll be great. I bought this like really... Like, I didn't have a lot of money at that time, so I bought this like really cheap one that didn't have the torque power that you need to do anything. So I come back with basically with like a pencil sharpener, and they're like, oh my goodness. So while I'm there, I don't even think I'm not a good girly apparently. I didn't think to get like that thing that you shove into
the Slim Jim. Yeah.
The Slim Jim.
We didn't really make a plan because we were just like, oh, you guys are gonna go. Okay, they'll go, and then
you guys stayed because you were like, if someone comes down the trail,
we didn't even have our phones or anything.
Yeah.
It was great. It was all in the bed.
Jen, long story short, the Angels of Colorado, who also camp on this little way, they come rolling up on like an ATV, and they're like, you look like you're in trouble.
Help, don't you?
And we're like, yes, please help us. My wife went to the hardware store and brought back nothing.
No, you brought back the screwdriver we'll use again.
One day we will need that screwdriver. Oh, that is too
But
funny.
So the
the
angel on
campers,
the
yeah.
four-wheeler was like, "Oh, you know, do you think that a hanger would work?" And we were like, "Yes, please, yes." So she went back to her camp,
And didn't
and
it just so happen that Jay's like special talent is breaking into cars
well,
with a hanger?
I don't know if we need to say that,
I
but
just like I remember being like, why do you have
How
this
do you
skill?
know?
so we like put a little edge on it, and like we were like pulling the door as much as we could, and then we got it to finally
Oh my
unlock. But
gosh.
it was like almost like 1:30 or 2 by the time it
Yeah.
Oh
like
my
we got
Like
back
gosh.
so
in.
deeply emotional to like embrace Nick again because he was getting so hot in there and he's just so confused.
He
He's
was
like,
like,
Yeah.
"Someone help me."
"Guys, I need to go to the
What
bathroom."
did I
Yeah.
do?
Oh, why'd you lock me in
Oh,
here?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a
Just
story to
chaos.
remember
Yeah, so many
forever.
good stories.
So I
I
have a
might
question.
remember,
I have a question. So you guys do this together, obviously. I'm sure a lot of people are curious, and I'm sure you get this all the time. How do you make it work together? How do you like divvy up your work? How do you start with that?
Oh,
Oh, man,
Loaded
that's such
question.
I love
it's a
that
great
question.
question though, because there are so many aspects to what we're lucky enough to be able to do, coming from, posting, engaging, coming up with content ideas, picking out the times to do these things, and then now when we get to record for the podcast. So it's like there's always so many multifaceted things. So it's a really great question.
There's also when we're at sessions and actually creating, there's a definite flow when you get to be there with another person. And there's a way for us to just kind of like dance around each other, but also to support one another. So I think the easy answer, the one that if you like want to go right for the I don't know what the expression is. If you want to go right for the gut, is
Mhm.
I think it's important to value as so verbally as much as possible the strengths and the weaknesses of each other because ultimately you're both working towards the same goal. So the biggest thing to take away is it's never going to be perfect. You're constantly working together to grow together, but that's the best part is that as the evolution takes place and as time goes on, you're noticing, oh, we're better about that or oh, this is, much more balanced. So when it comes to workload and just like dividing and conquering, we have to talk about energy types because Alex and I are very different. I am lucky enough to have just an overflowing amount of energy. That's just who I am. I'm a manifesting generator. If you guys do you know your human designs?
Yep, I'm the same.
Oh,
Do you manifest generators?
Oh yes, and they're not a lot of manifesting generators, which is funny. Yeah, I just
It's
recently got into more manifestation and human design and everything. Yeah, I love
good.
it.
It's been fascinating to learn that you and I go into the world and the world around us is a scavenger hunt and we get to look at things that are happening and decide like am I going to grip onto that and make something of it or do I let that go because it's not aligned with my higher energy source. So what happens with us too, and I'm sure you know this, Megan, just because of Jen's like overall personality, we get regenerated with energy every single day. We wake up and we're ready to go.
You're so on the money.
It's just insane. And the ideas they come and they come hard and they come fast. So over time, even before we found human design to like put words to what this feels like,
right.
Alex has always been such a good balance and with me saying, hey, we have a lot of ideas, but let's cull it down. Like, what are the best ones? What are the ones that light you up the most? And that has helped me to refine my process to make room for Alex, who is a reflector. Have you learned about the reflector yet?
I haven't, but now I'm so curious to what my husband is because I feel like he is too. Like just you stating that first part of it, he like
Yes.
calms me down. He's like, "You're going all over the place. Like you're a squirrel right now. Let's bring it together." So I feel now I need to see what he is, but I haven't. So enlighten.
It's so cool. It's right up there with love languages, right? Like as you get to know your partner in life, you get to decide like, okay, how much of you am I going to learn and how active am I going to be in like figuring out how to be the best I can be for you,
Yeah.
but also for myself. I think learning is a really important process that never ends.
The reflector archetype is it's a super it's like it's so hard to explain, but it's also not. Okay, so very contradictory, I know. It's literally a reflection or an amplification of what's going on around you. So I literally take in everybody's energy types, and I kind of like first I feel it out, and this is all like just innate. it's like breathing kind of. And you understand if you're like gonna mesh well with somebody, you find connections really quickly. And you literally lift up the energy of everybody around you. So when you couple that with Brittany's manifesting generator, like I'm actually like adding more fuel to her fire unknowingly without it just happens. And then she ultimately like raises my frequency too. So the really interesting part of a reflector archetype though is there's not actually a defined center anywhere inside my system.
A defined energy center.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that part it does fluctuate based on the moon cycle. So I do still have active gates when it passes through. So my energy is not as consistent as Brittany's, other than the fact that I amplify her energy, which then lifts me up. So it's like it's really
But hold on, ladies. We know that we all have our own moon cycle too. We're lucky enough to be the gender that has that. Alex can connect with that. He has different days in the month where he feels big energy and he's more aligned with a manifesting generator energy source. But then there's parts of the month where that doesn't exist. And I have to operate so differently, which is a pleasure to do. But it was really confusing at first because he didn't understand that I always have this. It's just never going to go away. And I didn't understand that he didn't have that energy foundation. So when I would be asking for something or, divvying out a task of any kind, if it's in the wrong part of the month, it's just not aligned with where Alex is. Because I want to just gas you up a little bit. Alex is such an important player in any social environment, but he's the ultimate empath. That's what they're called. They're the mirror in any space.
Right.
But he also has the quickest social battery to drain. So he needs alone time and he needs isolation. So you think about van life and you think about sharing a business with your spouse. We're always together. So we've learned over time about how important alone time is and just separate hobbies. And so ultimately the big thing is if you're working with your spouse, my big takeaway for everyone is just learn as much as possible about each other and keep applying new things that you learn, because you got to be better for one another or it's never going to be a good thing at the end of it all. And I think one thing we've always really aligned on is Chasing Sunsets may succeed, and we're really lucky for that. But as long as you and I in our relationship romantically are doing really well, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
The love story has to come first.
It's really important because how do you bring this energy of, this is the way that we want to tell a love story if you're not connected and you're not, on the same wavelength. So yeah, that is really important. And then just like actually being able to push that through like a session with somebody is really beautiful to see how we do it, because we'll connect really well with somebody, and then maybe Brittany's actually prompting right now, then we have the other angle of that, and then you're interacting the whole time. So if somebody then turns their attention to you and focuses on me and focuses on that, then Brittany is then free to create that other kind of off angle that is like, they just look so candid because it's not directly coming at the camera, but it's like back and forth the whole time. It's a really fun dance. I like how you put that.
Yeah, I'm very curious, Megan, what your energy type is, because I'm like taking notes and I really want to know.
I have never thought about it. I don't know.
I'm gonna get her to do it today.
I think I align more with Alex. I kind of attract to other people's energy. I think I read the room, and if somebody's in a bad mood, then I'm also in a bad mood, and I'm not very good at lifting them up. It's like, if that's the vibe the day, and I can't really change it. That's how I feel. So like,
I'll have to say, so your human design is based on your birthday, the time exactly you were born, and
have to ask my mom.
It's so crazy because it's where we'll have to ask Mom.
I don't know, but the moon cycle thing is so true, because I feel, and I thought it was just, I mean, everything's relative. It could be a little bit of both, could be whatever, but you feel those highs and lows, not always good and bad. I like how you guys phrase that as like not so much like strength and weakness and good and bad, but just like highs and lows, and things are what they are. And I like that it wasn't like a negative connotation. It's just like the way that it is. But I feel that a lot in my business, where I'm like very motivated and I'm like, let's go get it, and I feel great, and I'm like scheduling calls with everybody and everything's great, and then like 2 weeks go by and the calls are here and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I don't want to. I'm not. This is the wrong headspace.
That's exactly it.
So
I just have to share really quick. I'm in a group program, and literally all of us have just been having like a day yesterday, and someone literally posted 3 days until the next full moon. So
that's so funny.
It's a thing. And I just have to chime in and say, I love how you guys explained your like partnership together, because I think it's more important for you guys to have an understanding being a couple and being in a relationship. But I mean, that goes the same for Megan and I, like just being a business partner and just being, you know, my bartenders, my staff, my employees, like it goes with everyone. Like everyone can be having a bad day. You need to figure out ways that you guys work best together. Like Megan and I have literally come in to record and we look at each other and she'll be like, I'm having a day. And I'm like, girlfriend, me too. Let's just have a conversation today. And we'll record an episode because we're not feeling the excitement and the motivate. Maybe it's almost a full moon.
We feel like it's not an episode to teach. Like we're not able to like give. We just need to talk to each other. So we do episodes like that a lot. And this is funny because I work by myself. I do photo and video by myself, but I have a team of ladies that second shoot for me, and it's fun, but it's like I do all the editing and everything is me. They just show up. But I have had some weddings where it's like time to walk down the aisle and I'm like, girl, I'm not feeling it. I need you to be in the aisle and do those photos because I don't trust myself right now. I don't feel good right now. I'm not going to have a smile on my face, and I should. And so can you step up and like do that for me? So I am lucky that I have friends that are typically there and they got my back, but I do at times wish I had like a partner like you guys that's like so in it with me to just be like, you take the lead, okay, and we'll give and take and do the thing. So mad respect, and I'm happy that you guys like have that energy to do that on like a day-to-day basis too, not even just when you're working weddings, but just like at home when you're editing and doing the post-processing. Like it's nice that if either of you have a moment where it's just like not feeling it, I it's nice to have the partnership. And that was one thing that we wanted to ask about, was like marriage and the partnership and just how that dynamic worked. And I think that was a really, you answered it before we even asked. So
I know, I love that. I love this conversation. So I'm going to go on a little bit on a different topic. So marketing for your business. I know you guys have an amazing Instagram following, and I think that just comes authentic from you guys. Like Megan introduced me to you. I started following you. I was like, oh my God, I just need to watch. I literally was scrolling, just watching all of your videos one day. You just bring off this energy that is, people just want, you attract energy. I totally see that. Where do you guys feel like the marketing for your business is the most? Like, do you think it's on a social media platform? Do you think it's through building relationships? Like if you could give advice to someone on, you know, how to market their business or ways to that you have found benefits, what would you say that would be?
Wow, great question.
Thank you so much. Though that's such genuine praise, and I love what we get to do. It's so fun. What would you say? Because I have one. If you had to do it in one sentence, what would you say?
Ooh, the one sentence test.
The marketing secret.
Okay, that's a good way to simplify it. The best advice that I could give to somebody that's trying to market their brand is to be authentic, as if anybody that can come across your content on Instagram or on the internet, depending on what platform. Our main influence is Instagram, like you said. Is just understand that somebody can be seeing you for the first time and with any piece of content that you post. Yeah. So whatever your core brand values are should be integrated into every single piece of content.
And keep in mind that your brand isn't just this like mystical shadow that's always lurking in the area. Your brand is you. You're constantly connecting your name, whatever it is, to yourself, because that's ultimately what's helping a consumer to make a buying decision. They're not hiring a business, they're hiring a person. So they're excited that you're showing up, that you're going to be there, that it's your business that they're supporting. So just kind of take yourself into a place where, okay, my one sentence is, I really want to go forth into my business and building and always be considering how I'm making people feel. Yeah. If you think about the world is thinking about themselves. So if you're constantly working in your marketing strategies to make other people feel important and to feel like you are caring about how your content is making them feel, how your business is making them feel, you're going to be serving on such a deeper level. Yeah. Because either you're you're solving a problem that they might have, or you're just like
entertaining
them. It's about them. So people are constantly asking themselves as they're looking at your things, what is in it for me?
Yeah.
Even if they don't even know they're doing it, it's always right there. So if you can try your best to solve something for them, whether it's education, entertainment, or just like bringing value to them, you're going to have such a better connection, because they're going to feel that you're trying to take care of them and that you care about them. If you go forth into your marketing world and you're just like, I'm the most important person, here's a million reasons why, people are going to pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard, right? Because you want to feel important, but I think there's so much more value in making other people feel important.
Yeah, that's so true. Any episode where we talk about social media, I feel like you just repeated things that we've said and felt and resonated with. Yep. It's huge that people buy into people and they don't buy into businesses, and so that's like why I have my name as my business, because it's just me and people know like Megan. Oh, that's Megan. But I love what you said, Alex, about everything that you put out. Pretend like it's the first time somebody's ever seen you, and really have that why, and like put everything that you can into it, so that, well, one, they all flow together, but two, if that's the only thing they ever see from you, like, you want them to remember it and really, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I love that, because I'm actually in the midst of like a rebrand. I just got a new logo, and I hired this coach, thank you, and she kind of like looked at my website, and the first thing on it was about us. And I'm like, she had to give me the feedback to say, okay, yes, you want people to know about you, but you want them to feel your business. You want them to feel the experience that you're going to bring to them when they hire you as a mobile bar. And I'm like,
I like
oh my God, you're right. Like you think there's so many hats that we wear as entrepreneurs. I mean, it's unlimited, and you think you're doing all the right things because you saw it on social media, or someone told you that this is the way it's supposed to go. But she just broke it down so easily to be like, I want to come to your website and I want to feel. And it's funny because she pulled up the Rolex website, and literally, you guys have to go look at it. It literally shows just pictures of watches, and it shows like what you like would feel wearing this watch. And one of them was like a yacht master, and the watch was gorgeous. And she's like, I feel like I'm going to be on a yacht wearing this watch. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
it's very true. I have a friend who just got his first Rollie, and he's always on a yacht in his mind.
That's incredible. So interesting.
But it's so like, now she has me looking at like all these like luxury brands of websites, because I'm redoing my website, but all of them make you feel a certain way. Like, she pulled up the Ritz-Carlton, and literally I felt like I was on a tropical beach just opening their website. And I'm like, oh my God, you're experiencing what they want you to experience by buying their product and service. And I'm like, that's so right.
Yeah. How do you want the people drinking your drinks to feel drinking their drinks?
Yeah. I showed Megan I was showing her something to help me with, because I'm the worst with website, and it was like pouring a cocktail in one of the videos, and like I want people to like feel the sound of like the champagne going into a glass or something like that. You know, it's like, you're so right. Like, how are they going to feel when they book your services? And that's what you have to remember when you're putting your product out into the universe. I just want to stop us for 1 second. We're going to run out of time here.
Yeah.
Can we just log off and log right back on? Because it's like the 40-minute Zoom thing. Okay.
Absolutely.
This is such a juicy conversation. Yeah, just go into the same link before.
So we click end and then start.
End, and then just start the video again.
Okay.
See you in a second.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that 13 years of experience, you still fall back on that all the time.
Absolutely.
Like you were just saying about your brand. You know, you're always considering how to make somebody feel more important and more connected to the brand.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I'm such a firm believer that like the past is the past for a reason, and like you can look at the past and like regret things and say, this isn't really like what I should have done, but I just feel like you're so much better for all the things that you've experienced in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it all is this giant like momentum leading you to being your best self. So everything you've learned up to this point is so valuable for where you're going. And it's not always easy when you're in those really hard days to take those steps, but just keep moving forward. You gotta see what's coming, because it's gonna be great.
It makes so much more sense when you look back on it. You know, like you're like, how did that connect? Oh, that's right. Like that. It just looking forward at it, it doesn't make sense. You're like, that's not how I'm gonna get there, but
Yeah.
it is.
Or like, why did I have to struggle so much with this? But it's so that you can learn and be able to do what you're doing today. So
make messy mistakes and then clean it up. It's so fun.
Yep.
It's life.
Yeah. So tell us about the editing castle and just I want to hear everything about it.
Thank you for that question. The editing castle has been years in the making, and we've always wanted to, take this medium and just share our truth this way, but it didn't work. It didn't work out until now.
Really?
Essentially, because, yeah. Recording in a van is a tricky thing.
It's a very tricky thing.
Yeah.
There's two things to consider. Audio is so important. The whole interface is audio. And when you live in a van, sometimes you're parked in places where there's external noises that can make it really challenging to get like a clean audio. It's also just distracting. Some of the places where we would hang out in Arizona, let's say it's a park, other people are there enjoying the park. So there was like an audio situation, but also just the discomfort of being like crammed together and it being so hot. I just remember
the temperature was the big thing.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a fan on, you can't have the air conditioning on. So it's like, all right, we're just sweating in here together. Let's see what we can make. So we have this one video of us like just not happy campers. Like you were saying, like some days it's just not the day. Like I've got like sweat beating down my face and I'm like, okay.
Literally, you're like, baby wants a podcast. We're gonna do a podcast. Like, but it was really special because it was such a love project or a passion project. It was such an interest of ours for so long.
Right.
I truly feel like we got out a lot of the willies that come with like starting something like that.
Yeah.
When it wasn't live yet. So I truly feel like Editing Castle, even the name shifted in the dream a few times.
It did. You're right.
I feel like Editing Castle launched exactly when it was meant to. It felt like it was finally time, and it felt like we could share our stories with enough experience having happened that it just feels like we're so aligned with our truth, and it just feels like the stories flow so much better too. The first it's fun. The first name was What the Flow. I thought it would be so fun to have like branding say like WTF and then people be like, oh, that's so spicy. But because we really do love the idea of talking about energy and the flow state and just how you got to let it come and go, right? We're all just waves in the ocean. And so What the Flow was the first idea. And I don't think it's as strong as Editing Castle.
I love Editing Castle.
Me too.
Really?
I do. Well, because I don't know if you know, but a lot of photographers talk about the editing cave and how they're stuck in this cave editing, that, they're in busy season and they can't get out and they're editing 24/7. And it's always like such a negative thing when people are talking about it. And so I like how you make it into a castle. Like it's something that should be good. This is what we're choosing to do, what we want to do. Like I wouldn't want to, and like you said, like I wouldn't want to make any of my clients feel bad for booking me. And I think saying Editing Cave, like if I were somebody that had hired me, I'd be like, oh, I added to her list. Like I feel so bad. So like Editing Castle is like another room, like a throne room in the castle. Like that's how it should be. I love that. That's so cool.
It all comes from the reflector, ladies. We were chilling in fall season, just like working so hard, and it's all over the stories, right? It's all over the captions. It's just dripping on the corners of Instagram. And Alex just voiced it one day, and he's like, I love my industry and the ladies who live in it, but we could commiserate a little less. Like let's dial it in. And then I was like, yeah, dude, I feel that. And then it just like, it was one of those like those little beautiful seeds, and it was planted. And then we made that one reel just to throw it out to the community. Like, hey, let's switch up the verbiage. Let's just swap out a word and see how it changes the energy. Yeah. And so many friends reached out and just said how much they loved it. It just made sense all at once. It was like, this is what feels like us. Let's talk about positivity and abundance and gratitude, because really, is there room for anything else? Like, let's go. Yeah. This is a good thing that we all get to do.
Yeah, you're totally right. We didn't want any of our beautiful clients, friends, they become friends.
They do.
To feel like they were an imposition.
Yeah, right.
That's something that we really hold near and dear to our heart, is that, hey, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And when we're happy to do this work,
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. So it's mostly a photography podcast, but we're slowly but surely bringing in just some of these other elements of our journey. We really want to introduce more of this like nomadic lifestyle and just some of the lessons that we've learned from that and how it applies to business and just being able to adapt to adversity in general. We really love the themes of like hard work is sexy, it's a good thing, it's worth it in the long run. We love themes like gratitude and positivity, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. It's a little baby right now,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just growing up so fast, and I'm very excited for her.
I love how you just put that. That is amazing. But I think it's so true. Like, when it is busy season, me and obviously my business is different than you guys, but it's the same.
Yeah.
We're working hard. We're in it for a goal to make our clients happy. But I think we forget sometimes that we try to relate to our peers and be like, I get it. We're all in the crazy season right now, but you forget that your clients are also watching that too.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of, and Megan and I have talked about this, I see a lot of posts where people are like, oh my God, I'm so burnt out. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I'm so this, so this, so this. We need more of the positive things.
Yeah.
But even me, like, I'm a very positive person. I forget too. Like, I went in like a rabbit hole during like the end of December, beginning of January. And I saw it in my reels, and one of my old clients reached out and was like, are you okay? And I was like,
Oh no.
someone's literally seeing this on my platform. So what am I telling everybody else right now? And I think it's so important just to like take a step back and just be like, okay, I'm in a season right now, but other people don't need to know that on my big platform.
Yeah.
Or
also there's private stories. Like, I feel like that's what a private story is for, is like, add your photographer friends, add your small business friends. And if you need somebody to connect with to be like, I'm so burnt out, I feel like that's probably a better space for it.
Yeah.
And do you know what's fun, ladies? You can have the same person interact with that, woe is me kind of post. They might like, share, subscribe, like they might interact with that negative piece of content. That same person could very well scroll and then still interact with like the positive one.
Yeah.
So it's important to recognize, this is a level for connection with your peers, but what do you really want to connect with? What do you want to start a foundation of in your community? And in my opinion, if you compile a bunch of just good, wholesome pieces of content, you're attracting in those people that want to be there for that kind of thing. I find that our Instagram is such a warm hug when we go. Mm-hmm. And it feels like it's a testament to the work we've put in to take time away when we're not feeling like we can show up as that. And it's not that you can't feel those bad days, but truly it's like, that's something that I need to connect with Alex about if I'm feeling burnt out, or that's something I need to connect with my close peers who can provide support. It's not a like, hey, let's build our entire friendship on social media over the fact that, there's these different frustrations in our job. That's just my hot take on it. There's probably a lot of people who started their friendship over those hard days, and that's important too. Mm-hmm. There's a way to describe a struggle though that's not that's not like putting the weight on the client or on the work. It's just basically owning like, hey, maybe I took on too much. You can talk about that on social media. These aren't off limits topics. It's the way you present it.
Just trying to add any type of positivity to something like that, it makes it like a more powerful piece of content.
I think so.
I think
yeah.
Absolutely. What would, going into another kind of question, so we're in our off season right now. Do you guys have, and I know we're off season because it's freezing cold here in Connecticut. Nobody wants to be outside, let alone plan events. I know there's beautiful winter weddings, but that's just kind of how our season is. Yeah. But do you guys have an off season? Like, would you say you're in it? There is not really an off season for you guys? I mean, not mentally, but like actual like weddings and events and things like that.
Because of like the weather and or is it warmer? I don't even know. Is it like warmer you guys are? Or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's nice here. We're on a little road trip. So we went all the way to California and we took my mom. Well, we didn't take her, she flew, but we took her to California. She's wanted to go there since she was like an 8-year-old girl. So it was really fun for like have that shared experience together. So we're currently on our way headed back towards our apartment in Wisconsin. So it's going to be cold there too. But as far as an actual off-season type of mindset, I think we definitely don't have as many weddings right now. Our first weddings of 2024 are in April. Mm-hmm. So it's technically off season, I suppose, but we just look at that as an opportunity to go back through our hard drives and re-edit old photos and kind of like re-energize and come up with new ideas. And obviously we like to do photo shoots together too. So
I think that the pace definitely changes. So there is certainly like a time period where the energy flow is much different. But what we did for so many years was we would start in Wisconsin. We had that crammed 6 months of weddings because the weather is the nicest. And then when it would get cold, we would go down to Arizona.
yeah,
So we would have then shoots that we wanted to set up and styled ideas that we wanted to give it a shot because the weather was still nice out. So ladies, this is our very first off season. Like
yeah.
we get home sometime in the end of February and we have nothing going on in March. And I'm just so excited to just do something so special with that time. Maybe develop really good routines, maybe try out some new hobbies. I've been puzzling. It's very exciting.
Puzzles.
I just like
I am
so excited that we finally have a home that is safe and it's our space and we can stretch out and make room for new things. So there certainly is an off season this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's March, because you think about editing and when you get to actually process all of your wedding content from 2023, that's what December and January truly were. It was processing, even though there wasn't a lot coming in.
Yeah.
You're still very much ingrained in your computer. And then now we get to come home and we get to try out some new ideas and play with some old photo shoots or whatever it is we choose.
Yeah.
I personally have a little goal of like playing with some of the content retreat content that I've never touched. I've just like created so much and then I go back. I do have some galleries.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
We did a styled shoot back in May or something.
Yes.
And I shot everything, backed it up and put my SD card like in the drawer and I was like, gotta do it later. And I'm finally now like I just texted you like 5 photos and I was like, they're coming. And it's like
so happy.
It's February for our listeners of when we're recording this. So it's just crazy. I don't even know how many months that is. 6 months or something. It's crazy. Yeah. Kind of along the social media lines, did you want to share or ask about, we can cut this out if it doesn't work out, but you wanted to ask about like the follower count?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I have a question regarding like followers and just primarily Instagram is like that's where my platform is. So I feel like I'm in this weird imposter season where I recently had a few reels go viral and I have like 16,000 followers now. And I feel like I'm in a weird season where I think people aren't wanting to book me because I have a higher following now. And I know that sounds crazy and I would love your take on that and like feedback. And I don't know if they think I'm too expensive because I have like a big following, if they think I'm going to post, and this is all in my crazy head, by the way.
It's not crazy.
Yeah.
You're not crazy.
And if they think I'm going to post their videos on my social media, they might not want that. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I feel this way, but what is your thoughts? Because you guys have an amazing following. And again, this was a goal of mine. I had a goal to be a big, following on social media. And now I'm here and I'm like, wait, did I want this? So what's your feedback?
Your goal.
Thank you.
So what was the original goal? Was it 15K? You're like, I can do that.
It was 10. So it was 10. And
cool.
and it recently happened, but also, and I want to hear your opinion on that, but also the reason that my reels went viral were on topics that I didn't love. So it was about negative trends of the wedding industry. And I just like randomly threw one out there and it was like things like your guests don't want to see at a wedding. And that one got like 8 million
the champagne
views.
toast, I remember.
Yeah, it got like 8 million views and the comments were just, I'm sure you get that, wild. But it wasn't what I wanted my audience to feel. Back to that. So it's like, yeah. So anyway, that's kind of like twofolds to that. So one, do you feel that?
Layers.
Yeah. So I can debrief that if that was a lot too.
No, I like it. But I just want to start just like real fast and say that creating buzz and generating interest and just eyes on you, that is a good thing. I know it's an old or like an archaic thought process, but any PR is good PR within reason. I do think it's important to moving forward, especially in light of our conversation today, like if those topics are feeling out of alignment with you, I would not post those moving forward, because what will end up happening is there are friends that showed up because they thought that was hilarious or they loved whatever it was you were sharing. They will slowly but surely start leaving the room, and that's okay, because what you want is to continue to attract the people that you want to stick around.
Yeah.
So I think it's just as important to grow a community as it is to let those unfollows exist.
Yeah.
The duality is important. You're constantly making room for the ones that are meant to be there and kind of helping the ones that aren't like leave the room. Imagine that your Instagram's like this big party, and somebody's going to hear a conversation from you in the future. You'll put out a piece of content and they'll be like, you know, I actually don't need to be here for that. And that's awesome. Like, head on out. There's still so many people that are so excited about exactly what you are and what you're doing. Be excited about them. They're your community.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I would just say that the virality, you have no idea what's going to go viral and what's not.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do, right? But like the algorithm and the people take the content and, it becomes content for everybody at that point. So, the comment section is tough because you don't also have control of that, but you can kind of respond in a way to try and add some positivity to it. But I think the best move is kind of like what you said. If you didn't necessarily like how that was received or how it made you feel, or somebody that could come across your page and see that from there, probably just lean into a different direction with that.
Well, and I just want to share too about how it makes your customers feel, because I think that's a really important part of the process, because growing the following, an amazing goal. Congrats on hitting your goal. And I'm sure you've already come up with a new goal now, because you're like, wow, look at
because that's how our brains work.
I was lucky enough to go to some really good therapy, and my therapist just taught me that one of the manifesting generator qualities that we are always working on is being able to sit and celebrate what we do achieve. So celebrate where you're at right now. It's incredible. And if possible, like quiet those thoughts of like the cognitive dissonance of, wow, I've built this beautiful community, but what bad is going to come? That's just going to come in your mind. You're going to have that little cognitive dissonance about it, but imagine that it's all going to work out really well. Try to think about that, because in my opinion, when Chasing Sunsets community started to grow, it created two really powerful things for our customers. It creates what's called social proof. It shows that people will book you as a business and they love the service. They love it so much that they're coming to social media to support you and follow your journey. That number being a healthy number is a good thing. Now, when it comes to, is it like a public content, is it going to make them feel icky that their day is on blast or whatever that is, that thought process? I think about that all the time. I truly do. And I think it's important to just kind of ask more questions when you are booking someone and see if they found you on social media. Do they find value in that social media? Maybe you like incorporate more of that conversation just to get a pulse on where they're at with the public forum. And you'll probably find that some people will probably share, hey, I love your social media. I think it's so powerful. That's how I found you. Like, I'm totally aligned with what you're doing. Because think about it, Jen, you're going to keep doing this. You want to keep showing what you're doing and how you're making people feel. It's an invaluable tool as a business in 2024 and beyond. So you don't necessarily want to book the people who are going to make you feel all weird about it. And there's layers to this, right? Like, I personally feel like any wedding vendor, I'm going to talk a little bit of salt just for a second. I think wedding vendors who are creating social media content have to have a certain business acumen or etiquette when it comes to creating for their social medias. I'm going to go on just like a big blast here. I don't think it's appropriate for like event planners or anybody other than a videographer or photographer to be circling around the ceremony creating any kind of iPhone content. I think it's disrespectful. They end up in these timeless shots that we're creating for our couples. So I am now adding in more conversation to our consultations where we are talking about social media and best practices and businesses and their relationship with it. And I think if anybody's hearing this and they're a vendor, think about how you're making that customer that you're serving. You've brought this beautiful bar to their wedding. Think about how you being in their content is going to make them feel in the future. And then you'll understand where to go and when to be there. I think it's all going to work out, but just start conversation about social media and ultimately decide this is what I'm doing and it feels good. It's where I meet some of my favorite customers. I'm going to keep showing up on social media. And you're never truly putting anything out there that's going to be hurtful to your customers. You're always thinking about their best interest when you're posting, but you have to think of your own as well. That's my duality. What do you guys think? Was it too salty?
No.
No.
I love the one thing that you said was you don't want to book those people who don't feel the same way. And I am such a firm believer of that. Like I have like that gut feeling when I get a client who's emailing me additional questions and all these things. And I'm like, you just get that feeling. And you're like, if I'm having this experience right now and you haven't even given me a deposit, you haven't signed a contract, how am I going to feel when I show up to your event that day? And you're so right. You're so right. I think we get in our own ways and we get in our own like heads and, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. I don't know if this is really on topic or if it's kind of off, but I do consultations before booking. I like meet them face to face over Zoom or Google Meet or whatever, or just a phone call, whatever, just to really hear their voice and see like, are they passionate about it or are they price shopping? And I have had calls where I can't tell if it's because it's at 6 or 7 at night or if it's just where they are, if they had a bad day. Like there's sometimes where I have calls where it's just like we're not vibing. So I can never really tell if it's like, should I send them the proposal and like should I book them even if I'm not 100% sure that we're gonna jive. And then I'll book them and sometimes they're great and I'm like, oh thank God that I didn't second guess it. And then other times I'll have couples where I do their engagement session or whatever and then I'm like, yeah, I think I was right, but I'm like locked in now. And I that's something that I've been struggling to navigate because now I feel like we're 3 years into our businesses now and we're getting to the point where we're turning business away if we feel weird about it. And you don't have to accept everybody. You accept the ones that you think that are meant for you and think that, you drive well with them. And so that's kind of the era that I've been in is like creating that like, I don't know, like that space to be like, is this right or is it not? And can I let it go?
I think it's important. Like we've just seen in and I'm sure you guys relate to this in, the past 3 years, like you have to do what you feel is right in your business because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's all about like making your customers happy, making the experience amazing. And if you're not having a good first experience together, you're not going to have a good end experience together unless they were having an off day.
And it could be me. Like the couple could be amazing. Like I've worked with, like recently I had an engagement session. They were a referral from somebody else. And so pumped. They loved the gallery that I sent them as like a preview to be like, oh, we're going to this location. Like, here's a previous gallery. Like, they loved it. And then when we got there, like, they wanted that. And I was like, I can give you that. But then we just somehow, for some reason, like, didn't mesh. Like, we were talking about, like, what's your favorite kind of music? Blah, blah, blah. What's your, whatever. And we were just so on totally opposite ends of the spectrum that, like, it got to be really, like, uncomfortable. And, like, I could tell, like, that, like they'd start a conversation and I wouldn't be able to pick it up and vice versa. And it just like didn't feel like the perfect partnership. And that doesn't mean it's bad. It means that I have a great referral for somebody else and like, that's cool. But yeah, I don't know if we like steered the conversation somewhere else, but that's my thought.
This is something that we're so passionate about. And over all of the different times that we've had these consultations, we've had different like little nuggets pop up. So we have 2 things to share. Do you want to share first or do you want me to go?
I don't know what you're going to say. So you can
I have to like know what I'm going to say.
Are you saying paradise or what are you saying?
Paradise is good. But so the first thing is I wanted to ask about the questions that you ask at any point in the consultation.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Do you ask for them to, so this is the question. We're just going to ask it. What is it about my work that you really love and feel connected to? Do you have a question like that?
No, but I love it.
This is a great place to be because this is going to help you learn a couple of things. Jen, this is going to help you learn if they found you on social media and what they love about you.
Yep.
Ask about referrals, kind of understand how they came into your world.
How your paths crossed, yeah.
Yeah, and it almost always ends up being right after the like, so how did the 2 of you meet? Like, how did the universe bring you together? What's your love story? Then I like to shift very quickly and be like, so what's our love story? Like, how did we come into your world?
Yep.
And then what is it about us that you really connect to? That'll do, the service of figuring out how they came into your space, but it'll also give them the opportunity to either go long or short expert on what they love about you, because
it also gives you an opportunity to understand if both parties of the couple have seen your work, appreciate your work, and are fans.
Right.
I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, and it's important because we ultimately create our best as photographers, videographers, as artists. We create our best work when both people are super stoked that you're there creating for them.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of so at the beginning of our business, we kind of became known in our area as the photography team that could make the like disgruntled grooms or the disgruntled guys be happy during a photo shoot. Like,
Yeah.
And I loved that we could be that for so many women. They deserve to have photos with their spouse. But we started to understand that we didn't feel energetically aligned with that gentleman or that woman. Like, anybody can not love content, but it's one of our favorite things. So over time, we were like, I want, at the base of our relationship, I want us all to want to be here. That's number one for us, because I can't make you want to be in these photos, right? I can't make you want to be here with me hanging out. So what do you align with about us? And then the second thing I was going to say, if you would have known, is the word collaboration, because Alex added this, and it's been incredible. So during the consultation, you have this great chat. They go along. They're like, yeah, we love your work. We can't wait to work with you. It's going to be amazing. There might be a part in the conversation where you can add in more about your approach, and you can say really important, powerful words like, this is a collaboration. It's how all of us interact together. It's how I give you ideas, and then ultimately you get to make it yours and unique to your love story. So it's not just taking pictures, it's a collaboration.
It is.
By adding that into that consultation, that has opened up so many avenues of, is this aligned or is it out of alignment? And it's been such a pleasure to figure out who is going to love us and who is going to wish that they would have gone with someone who's more introverted or less energetic or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's important to just be you, and then to like get people talking about you. Does it feel uncomfy though to be like, what do you like about me? Because that's a little hurdle to get over, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like it depends on what time the call is. Because when I have calls that are earlier in the day, I am more motivated in asking them more questions. And don't ask question number 1, but number 2 that you said about collaboration, at least with my videography clients, that's something that I always say that, and I didn't really realize that maybe it's more important than I thought that it was. But people have been really receptive to it, to be like, okay, I'm part of this, because with video, at least, so much of it is created in the editing. It's not so much just what you capture. And with photography, I feel like it's what you capture. And yeah, the editing's a huge part to make you feel like the different colors and the warmth of it and things like that. But the editing of video is like, that is the part of it to me. And so I always try to include them with that. But maybe the first question I really need to dive a little bit deeper in, because I've always really loved the couples, working with the couples who say that to me on their own. They'll be like, oh, I found you like this, and I'm so excited because of XYZ. And like, those are the people that I've always like really been more like energetically like excited into like, like to work with, because I feel like they want me. But maybe that's my fault for not asking.
My favorite is the ones who tell me that they've been following my journey since the beginning, since I only started 3 years ago. And like, when I get a customer like that, I am like, oh my gosh, because they saw my story. They saw my journey. They saw the struggles, because I shared all of it from the start. So having that, and then having someone be like, I've just been like dying for, not everyone needs a mobile bar. So for an event to have a mobile bar, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so excited.
The party to feel like that.
Yeah. So those are like, but I absolutely, I am totally changing my conversation with my clients now. And that's going to be like number one conversation. I love that. Like,
that's cute.
Totally align with that. And I think that is so important, because it's, again, back to the feeling. You're making them feel, when you're asking them these questions, you're making them feel important. Like, yeah, you found me, but how'd you find me? Like, how did we meet? How did we align together?
But they're not just another booking. Like, you need to know them and connect with them on like an emotional level. It's like,
I think we forget about that a lot. I know I do. I think it's, especially if we're busy and we're just, wanting to secure, the booking, and wanting to make the process seem easy for them. So it's all, I have auto-generated responses on a lot of my things, and it's like you want it to be easy. And I think mine is a little bit less intimate than you guys, but it's not though, because you should feel the same. And I forget about that. So I think I mean,
you're the life of the party.
I know.
Like I feel like you and the DJ are the ones that set the tone for the evening
right now, because I have been thinking of like a slogan to add to my website, and literally why shouldn't that be it?
You say that all the time.
I know.
You say that all the time. But really, I do. I feel like the DJ's huge, obviously, but also like the drinks. Like if they're enjoying their drinks and they're going back for another and another, like that's the tone of the party. I love that. Yeah. Oh. My last question.
Every time they come to the bar too, you're like, hey, how's it going?
Yep.
Yeah.
Service and all of our different vendor teams, that's all just energy that's contributing to the day, and you're all such important players. Absolutely. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My last question for you guys, because we have another like 5 minutes, and we already went through the thing twice, so we've never done that before either.
That's so special.
I love this. I think we had a couple more, but I think this is our biggest one is what is something that you guys have done with your business that you're proudest of? So that could be like in addition to the business, so like either adding video or the podcast, or it could be a specific couple that you've worked with. Like what's something that you're like, if this was like your last day on earth and you were looking back at Chasing Sunsets, like what's the day that you would replay?
The day that I would replay.
I guess those are two different questions, but
And it's really tough because there's been a few shooting star moments in my life recently. So I'm going to go with a recent event. You can choose yours.
Sure.
But I would say the day that I would replay happened just so recently. We went to this place in Laguna Beach. And at Laguna Beach, there's this crazy little, like, it looks like Rapunzel's tower.
It does.
Right on the
It really
coast.
does.
There was a senator back in the 60s who wanted his own private access to the beach. So he built this tower with a spiral staircase for his family. Now it's a tourist thing, okay?
So extra.
But what's fun about the California coast is the tide. So the tide will come in, and at certain points in the day, it's no longer safe to go back there. But I really
might get swept away.
It's very serious, and I really wanted to go see it. So here we are in 2024. We've built a business that has allowed us the opportunity to travel, and we can go to beautiful places, and all of these like gratitudes were just bubbling up inside of me. And I'm like, we finally get to go see this castle that I like reverse Google imagery searched because someone was gatekeeping it, but I found it, and I'm like, I get to go see it. Like it was all of the things. And we're on the trail, and we're walking down, and we get around the corner, and I get to like see it and be there with it. And I got to meet the tower, and I got to see the waves, and I felt it all. And then we go around the corner, and California traffic is probably just as bad as like the Upper East. So the couple, they were running a little late. It's no problem. I didn't feel the normal, like, oh, the light is leaving. Like, oh, everything is crazy. It's burning. The house is burning. I didn't feel any of that. I just felt this calm, and I was like, travel safely, get here when you can. We just can't wait to take pictures. And so we are taking our own pictures with the tower. I might post them on Instagram later just because they're so magical. And then the tide took over. We can't go back there with the couple. They arrive, and they're beautiful. They're so energetic. They traveled like 2.5 hours from Santa Barbara through LA traffic just to be with us for this sunset. Their names are Tori and Jack, and they're important players in this little story. So let me just wrap it up. Shoot, I only have 3 minutes. Hold on. I got You said a day that I want to relive, so I need you to have context.
Yeah.
Photos are going great. They're in love. It's abundant, just so good. There's the waves crashing in, the sunshine coming down, the sun is setting. And all of a sudden, my late sister, who comes to me in the form of a hawk, comes soaring through the photo shoot, 10 feet above our heads. I get to tell them about my sister. I get to tell them about how she visits. We go around the beach, and we start taking pictures as the sun is setting.
It's just hitting.
The sky is colorful. It's a palette of just goodness and warmth. Everyone's smiling. Everyone's happy to be right where they are. And I'm like covered in sand, which is one of my favorite things. I'm stomping around like the toddler I really am. And I'm taking pictures, and here she comes. She comes flying by with her dinner catch. She's got a fish in her mouth, and she just says, "Good night. Have a wonderful night." And Alex got this picture of me like sprinting down the beach to try to get a picture of her. So we now have a picture together after like 17 years. She passed away when I was a child. And we now have this great photo together of me and her and the fish, and it's just chaotic. And then I turn around, and I come back and I just hang out with my friends at sunset. We watch it come down. We go up to the parking lot and we end up having this great chat about moms and complicated relationships and just life. And it just felt like a soul sister connection.
Yeah.
And then as we go to leave, I just remember sitting in the front seat with you and just like crying, just like happiest, like crocodile tears, because this business has brought me to some of my favorite soul siblings that I never would have met otherwise.
Yeah.
This business and this journey we've taken together has brought me closer to Jazz. She loved taking pictures, and she certainly would have been an incredible content creator if she was given the opportunity. And just like I sat there in my little like warm hug of just happiness, and that would be a day that I would replay a million times over. I got to tell you how much I appreciated you building the relationship with Tori online, asking her to do the photo shoot. It's a perfect day. It was a perfect day. And I just get tingly thinking about it. That would be mine.
Wow.
Sorry, it was so, there was just layers.
No, I loved every second of that.
So good.
All right, top that one, Alex.
I can't. But mine can be just it's a little quicker. It's no big deal. So one of you, like throughout your history as a business, like couples come along and they become so fundamental in your success and in your longevity of your business. And Madeline and Holden came along, and it was a super crazy circumstance. We had a wedding in Michigan, then we came back and we had their wedding the next day
in Wisconsin.
Yep. And it was just one of those moments where we both knew the magnitude of this portfolio that we were going to create, and we did a great job. They loved it. People are still asking for shots from that movie or from that film years ago. And now we had a full circle moment where they brought a child into this world, and we were able to create with them all as a whole. And just like looking forward and being able to imagine doing that for them in the future and continuing this is a really beautiful moment to replay, because they had such a part in our success. She recommended us to so many people.
Yeah.
And she just made us feel so loved.
The evolution of our love story has been bananas.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Oh, I love that so much.
Let's just quickly click off and back on.
Come back on.
Okay,
I don't want to lose
No, we
you.
can't end here.
I don't want to lose you.
We could not end there.
Does it say recording in progress?
Yeah.
Like, does it say okay, cool.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing, because you just in that short story just reminded me like how much I love my business too, and like how we can have these pivotal moments and you don't even realize you're having them. Like I did my first sound bath healing kind of like experience.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing. And it was on my first retreat too. So all the things. And I just like sat there, and what I laid there and what I was thinking about was spending time with my kids and being at my cabin in New Hampshire. And I literally was like watching them like on bunk beds in this like tiny little cabin, and just like had nothing to do with my business, but it really did, because the business is allowing me to be able to experience that with them. Mm-hmm. And it's like all these emotions just like arose and all these things. And I don't even know if that was like the pivotal part in my business, but I guess it is because I'm sharing it. But your stories just like reminded me of that. And I feel like everyone needs to like, I'm a firm believer when things get hard and when business gets hard, go back to your why. And like my why is always going to be my kids. Like it's always going to be able to show the next generation that you can do anything that you set your mind to. And I feel like you guys are showing that to other people, like not even just photographers and videographers. Like you're just showing you need to enjoy life, and that's what it's about. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I lost that a lot when I was in corporate. And nothing, not to say anything negative about the corporate world. I think we lost them for a second. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Yeah. But I feel like in corporate, I was working for someone else, and I was working so hard for someone else. And again, nothing against corporate, but now I get to work hard for my kids, and I get to work hard for myself. And I feel like it's such a different meaning in life. But you guys are just so amazing. Literally in the 2 seconds we just chimed off, I was like, they're so amazing.
Oh, Oh, thank you so much. And
I'm so happy that you're able to continue to show them that they can do whatever they want.
And think about their lifetimes, right? They're going to be 18, 20, 30, and they're going to be able to look back and have memories with you. And your influence in their lives because of the work that you do now and the way that you've transitioned. It's going to be such a beautiful thing that you've created for them. You've even shown them that they can do anything their heart desires too. It's a beautiful thing. The work that we do on ourselves, it amplifies those around us completely.
Yeah, it's so true.
Such a good ending.
I know. I love this. I don't want it to end. This conversation has just been like so.
I've had so much fun.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, thank you guys so much for sharing your journey and experience and being on here with us and, allowing our listeners to, hear your story and everything.
And you gave us so much to think about too, and things that we'll probably pivot and put into our business. And I appreciate it so much. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for having this. This was such a good time.
It's an honor to be here with you and just to also be able to connect with all of your beautiful friends and family and community too. It's such a pleasure to find people who are like-minded and to be able to like just hang out together. So it's been an absolute treasure to be here with you today.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Well, to keep the party started, tell the world where they can find you, your Instagram, your website. Where can they find you?
Yes, I think my favorite place to hang out right now is Instagram. It's such a cool place to come and have fun and just watch some really goofy content. But so we are at Chasing Sunsets LLC. And then, of course, we've talked about it in this episode, and I'm really excited about the future of Editing Castle podcast.
Yes.
It's on Spotify and Apple, and it's just going to be a lot of like fun truths, fun stories from Alex and I. But then hopefully in the future, if we ever are bold enough, we want to invite you guys to come on our podcast too and do an interview again and just hang out on the Editing Castle. It would be such an honor.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
I would love that. I don't know about you.
I am down. I am so down. So down. I'm so excited to continue watching your journey and just everything. And now I feel like I know you guys so much more, and I'm just excited to be along the ride.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Yes. Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too.